One of my favorite YouTubers is Bjorn Nyland. He is from Oslo, Norway, and he drives a Model X Tesla. But he tests a lot of cars. In one of his latest videos, he tests the Ampera. I don't know how it's a Renault Ampera-E, which is the same thing as this Chevy Bolt that I'm driving. And this is a 2017 LT model. And as you can see that I have 205 miles, I am going to reset my trip meter. And I'm going to show you a little trick, because I'm going to go to kilometers. He did a test at 90 kilometers, and he went over 50 kilometers round trip. I'm going to go a little bit further than that. But you go over here, just push this left button here. Let me focus on it. If I can focus that close, probably not. But anyway, you push this left button here, and it brings up the display on the got vehicle information. You just scroll down here to options and click the center button here, OK. And then you're going to see it shows miles. You click the right button here, and you go over here to US or metric, and I'm going to set it on metric so I can duplicate the test run that he made at 90 kilometers an hour, and I'm on the entrance ramp to I-29 headed south. We have a headwind of 14 miles an hour, and it is 84 degrees outside. I do have the air conditioning on, so that will play effect on climate control. So our next thing is we're going to go down to Drayton, which is about 22 miles away, and I'll tell you how many kilometers that is once I get there, and I'll give you both readings of kilometers and miles and the use and most importantly the consumption, how many kilowatts it takes to go 100 kilometers. But anyway, then the next thing you do is you go back, now that you're on that, and click here to the bottom button. It'll bring up the top one, vehicle information. You want that on there. Now we will be reading how many kilowatts it uses to go 100 kilometers. So I'll be recording various parts of my journey. Okay, I'm traveling down the road at 90 kilometers, and I'm just going to buzz over to my GPS. Now he was driving down the road, Bjorn was driving down the road at 94 kilometers, and he never showed his GPS, but I'll show you my GPS right there. It is 90 and 90. This has been a very accurate speedometer, I have to admit, because it was right on. It's been right on in miles per hour, and now it's right on in kilometers. For us in the U.S., which most of my viewers are, 90 kilometers an hour is 56 miles an hour. And the semis are passing me up like crazy here. They probably don't like me driving down the freeway at 56 miles an hour. But anyway, here comes another one on my side here. I want to just mention something about this car, my feelings on this car. I've only driven it 4,300 miles, but so far this is a car that has been my favorite of all the cars I've ever owned. I'm very much in for efficiencies, and this car is very efficient. I'm sure they're going to be making one, since this is a 2017, and Bjorn compared it to the Hyundai Kona. And what I've heard about the car, they're very similar in size and probably aerodynamics. And I think it weighs about 400 pounds more than the Chevy Bolt. But it has a little bit bigger battery pack, 64 kilowatts of battery pack. So it's going to have a little longer range. But I understand that the chemistry, since it's a 2019, it might have improved a little bit. There was a highway patrol just passed me up. So we'll see how it compares when I do this round trip. Still driving down the road, not even halfway there yet. Still going at 90 kilometers an hour. The cruise control is very accurate in this car. It's 31 degrees centigrade. I think that's about 86 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that. And still headed down the highway. We're kind of heading in a south by southeast direction, and that's exactly where the wind's coming from. So that is definitely going to affect the range of the vehicle, at least the southern trip. We'll get that tailwind on the way back, so that would give us a pretty good estimate on a dead calm day what the range of this car is at 90 kilometers an hour, or 56 miles an hour. Okay, we're headed back. That is a sugar beet plant, and I visit that a lot in October, dropping off sugar beets. It's kind of helped the farmers out by this will be the 6th year that I've went in the fields, hauled the beets to this particular place here in Drayton. But we are going 90 kilometers an hour again. Headed north, and you're going to see that the consumption, I think it was like 15 kilowatt that it was using heading into the wind. Now it is between 10 and 11 kilowatts at 90 kilometers an hour, or 56 miles an hour. It's still dropped down 30 degrees centigrade, which means probably 85 degrees. Okay, we're on the exit ramp. Well, the entrance ramp, heading back north. We've traveled 21.6 miles, and the average consumption is 3.9 miles per kilowatt. And I'm going to switch back over to metrics. And that is 16 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. And so we've traveled 39.9 kilometers. And now we will be heading back. We're just right on the entrance ramp of Drayton. Okay, we're headed back. That is a sugar beet plant, and I visit that a lot in October, dropping off sugar beets. It's kind of helped the farmers out by this will be the 6th year that I've went in the fields, hauled the beets to this particular place here in Drayton. We are going 90 kilometers an hour again. And headed north, and you're going to see that the consumption, I think it was like 15 kilowatt that it was using heading into the wind. Now it is between 10 and 11 kilowatts at 90 kilometers an hour, or 56 miles an hour. It's still dropped down 30 degrees centigrade, which means probably 85 degrees. I should tell you about one thing, is that I have the tire pressure. Oh, holy crap. It said about 42 pounds. I don't know what KPA stands for, but the tire pressure is between 41 and 42 pounds. A little bit over what the factory recommends, but I like low rolling resistance. These are Michelin tires, standard tires that came with the car, and they are low rolling resistance tires. Right there, they're harvesting barley, and I haul that for our local farmers also down to Fargo for Budweiser. Okay, we're on the exit ramp where we started from. We went 69.5 kilometers at 14.1 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Let's check and see what it is for miles. back to English. Go back to... Alright, so we traveled 43.1 miles, and the consumption was 4.4 miles per kilowatt hour. And still 86 degrees. We are northbound on the exit ramp. We're going to go on the entrance ramp here in a second and go 120 kilometers an hour for the same distance. I am going to clear this and we're going to start over again. And going to switch back to kilometers. Well, 120 kilometers an hour is 75 miles an hour. But again, my GPS says I'm going 121. So I'm going to switch it back to, now, it goes between 100 and 121. I'll leave it set where it is, and we'll check it out when we get to the other end. Well, we're back on the entrance ramp of Drayton, headed north again. Let's see the damage it did. 35.1 kilometers at 22.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Well, let's check our miles. Okay, we went 21.8 miles and 2.7 miles per kilowatt. That is terrible. Yipes. That would make me sick if that's the way it was all the time. Okay, we're going to head back at 120 kilometers or 75 miles an hour. That's still 86 degrees. Okay, I'm back up to 120 kilometers. I'm headed north again by the sugar beet plant, which is like a mile north of Drayton. And we are headed back. Now our consumption, let's go back to focus on that. Coming down, the consumption was between 25 and 30, probably averaging about 28. Look what the wind factor is. Now we're averaging, what, 21 kilowatts. Huge difference in the wind. Just so you know, when I travel to Canada, and I'm not in a hurry, I drive at 62 miles an hour. And that gives me, I want to try to get that 238 mile range out of the car. I think I've maybe done it 3 or 4 times, charge up to 100%. I usually go to hilltop mode, which is somewhere right around 88% of the charge, and probably between 4 and 4.1 per cell, 4.2 being max. That's a full charge. It just extends your battery life longer if you don't stress your batteries, either on the low end or the high end. Try not to ever take it down to 0, which I came close one time when we went to Fargo for the first time in this car, which I have a video on that, which I am going to post sometime soon, maybe before this one. I was going to point out one of the things I don't like about the LT. Well, a couple things. And one of them is just right up here. The Premier probably has an adjustable that you can slide it back and forth. LT, no. I don't know if there's a camera up there. I don't think there's a camera up there. Well, for lane assist, which kind of like on the Premier, the lane assist, which is kind of a nice thing, and the sensors up front to warn you pedestrians or cars. My Premier, my Volt has the Premier package, and it's applied the brakes for me when it thought that I I was going to hit something, which I was very surprised. Several times it makes a beeping sound and red flash, things flash up there. Kind of like that function. And if I probably had to do it again, if I would have got a good deal on a Premier, and the only one choice I had at the time was this blue car for the LT that was reasonably priced. And the Premier, which would have been reasonably priced too, but it was orange. And that's a color my wife would have freaked out if I would have bought that car. She doesn't like orange. And this blue is very pretty. My first choice would always be a white car. That's my favorite color in a car, white, pearl white. All right, here we are at our exit. We've driven 69.7 kilometers, and we used 20.6 kilowatt hours for 100 kilometers. And we have 155 kilometers left from our hilltop mode charge. Let's go to, and it's still 30 degrees Celsius. Okay. Go here. 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 And go back here. Vehicle information. Okay, we went 43.3 miles, and we averaged 3 miles per kilowatt hour. Wow. That sucks. And we got a 96-mile range. I think we started off with 205, as I recall. So we went about 86 miles, 87 miles altogether. Since I started this little experiment. And we are done. We're off the freeway. Off the freeway and ready to go home and edit this video and see how Bjorn, how he did. Some personal thoughts while I'm charging here about range. A number of years ago, I still do drive a semi-truck, but a number of years ago I used to drive in California. And when I drove there, the speed limit for trucks, I have no idea what it is today, but probably about 8 years ago or so. No, it wasn't even that one. It's probably 6 or 7 years ago. I used to go there every week, and the speed limit was 55 miles an hour. And this is a lesson I learned about fuel economy. Let's say the truck, which it probably would get 8 miles to gallon if you drove it at 55 miles an hour in high gear. But the rule of thumb was that every mile you went over 55, so 56, you'd lose 1/10 of a mile per gallon. And the same thing applies. So if you're driving 75 with a semi-truck and you got 8 miles a gallon at 55, you'd get 6 miles a gallon, which is probably true. I haven't found that being true in my experiences. Bearing it's the same wind, same level, same conditions that you're driving at 55. You literally lose, going 20 more miles an hour, you lose 2 miles a gallon. And that cuts down on your profits considerably. In the case of electric or gasoline cars or whatever, every mile an hour you go over, let's say are 56 miles an hour or 90 kilometers, you're losing efficiency because you've got drag on your tires, you've got air resistance, and you got resistance in the motor. So it's going to take more energy to move you every mile an hour faster. And we kind of proven that when we drove 120 versus 90. So that is my thought on fuel efficiency. Well, or electric efficiency in this particular case, or range. Anyway, I will post my conclusions in text in this video.